So guys, we got this week's weekend reviews. As you guys know, it's a very tough week for me, so I'm not too excited to discuss this stuff. Obviously, Philip is. To start, we have the closest matchup of the week, myself versus Philip. Philip was able to get the win, basically 95 to 92. On my team, I had only 4 players in double digits. Lamar Miller with 13, Jordy with 17, Brandon Cooks with 12, and Devontae Booker with 15. I did have -2 out of the Vikings defense, which all I needed them to do was get me 1 point, and I could have won, and they royally screwed me. I did have Matthew Stafford on the bench, who had 13.5 points, and I played Russell Wilson, who basically got 9. So I kind of hurt myself there. Could have thrown John Brown in there for Golden Tate. Would have been 5 points in my favor as well. So a few lineup decisions I could have done differently to swing things in my favor. Looking at Phillips' team, he had a huge day out of Aaron Rodgers with 34 points. Decent game out of Jeremy Hill with 14. And the rest of his team, nothing special. Just enough to get the win. He did have Duke Johnson on the bench with 15 points and Jonathan Stewart with basically 23 points there. All right, moving on. The next matchup we have here is, I believe it's Dakota versus Joseph. Joseph got that victory 118 to 106. On Dakota's team, he did have, it looks to be 6 players in double figures. One thing I noticed is Dakota opted not to play a defense this week. Not really sure why he did that. He did have the Lions defense on his bench, who got 7 points. Would not have been enough to get him the victory, but would have made things a little closer there. He did have Matt Ryan with 24 points, Christian Michael with 11, Blunt with 10, AJ Green with 17, Alshon Jeffrey got a touchdown finally. Coincidentally, it was when Xavier Rhodes was out of the game for the Vikings, one of their top corners. He had 14, Zach Miller with 12. He got 0 points out of his kicker in his lineup, which definitely hurt him there. He did have the Jets' Quincy Enunwa on the bench with 17 points, so maybe throwing him in there, at your flex over Kelvin Benjamin would have had a 9-point difference there. And still would not have quite gotten you the win there, but would have made things a little more interesting. If you play him and play defense, you're going to get the win there. Looking at Joseph's team, he had 6 players in double digits as well. Tyrod Taylor with 18, Jacquizz Rodgers with 14, Crabtree 15, Stephon Diggs basically 18 points. Kind of shocked he did that well. Rob Gronkowski with 19, Matt Forte with 23. I guess things kind of evened out because Joseph played Ty Montgomery at receiver, who was ruled out for the game shortly after the 1 o'clock period. So I'm not sure if he even would have had a chance to edit his lineup. I'm not sure how that works. I haven't tried to edit my lineup after the game start. He probably would have been able to, but depending on who he had on his bench, it may not have even been worth it. I had that same issue in another league and just said screw it. Didn't worry about making the switch there. He did have Derrick Henry on the bench, who had 18 points pretty much. So good job, Joseph, getting the victory there. Next up, we have Dalton versus Ray Sr. Ray Sr. got the victory here pretty easily, 123 to 95. On Dalton's team, he had Jameis Winston with 19 points. Mark Ingram got him -1.5 points. He did fumble the ball and was benched after that. And now I think he's still going to be the number 1 guy. I still think they're going to give him the rock. But I think Tim Hightower certainly earned him some playing time. And if you guys notice how the waivers processed today, myself and Ray tied for Tim Hightower, but because Ray's team is below mine, he was able to get him over myself. He had Frank Gore with 13, Terrell Pryor with 15, Devontae Adams 13, Allen Robinson 10, and he got 10 out of his kicker as well. He did have Phillip Rivers on the bench, who had 13, but definitely played the right quarterback there. So nothing really he could have done much differently there to benefit his team. I'm looking at Ray Sr.'s team. He had Fitzpatrick with 14, Devontae Freeman with 20, Crowell 13. Has Dez Bryant back, who performed very well for my Cowboys, keeping us top of the division, which I love. He had 19 there. Jordan Reed with 20. He did have negative points out of the Eagles' defense with -2 there. And Dan Bailey with 12. And a lot of players on bye week on his bench. And nothing to speak of out of the players that did get some play time there. Next up, we have Shane versus Michael. Michael won this game 117-94. And looking at Shane's team here, Alex Smith had 10 points. He had 14 out of David Johnson, so kind of a slow week for David Johnson compared to what he's normally putting up. Gets Dante Moncrief back for the Colts. Did get him 12 points. Allen Hurns with 19. Tyler Eifert finally got to play, had a huge game, 21 points. I believe he might have played the week before as well, but not quite as much playing time. And then a lot of players on bye week on Shane's team, and one injury on his bench, so nothing on his bench that could have helped him at all. Looking at Michael's team, he had Andrew Luck with 18, Darren Sproles 13, Mike Gillislee with 17. He got 0 points out of Randall Cobb because Randall Cobb didn't play this week. He was out with a hamstring injury. Jordan Matthews with 18, Jameson Crowder 21, Julius Thomas 10, Ezekiel Elliott with 17. Negative points out of the Bengals defense. So out of some of the matchups we've looked at, I've already seen 3 teams that play defenses that got negative points. Shane's team defense actually got 0 points. So maybe it wasn't a very good week for some of the top defenses for fantasy. It seems. And did have Mason Crosby with 6. He did have the Panthers defense on his bench with 18 points, so could have even padded that victory there for him. Next up, we have George versus Ray. Ray won this matchup here, 122-78. So very big victory there. I'm looking at George's team. We have Marcus Mariota with 20. He has Bears defense that got him 10. Played very well Monday night. Gostkowski got him 13. He did have Blake Bortles on the bench with basically 30 points, and Dak Prescott on the bench with 28. He's got 3 quarterbacks. Definitely played the lowest scoring guy out of that, but ultimately would not have made much of a difference there for him. Looking at Ray's team, he had a couple really big scores with Tom Brady with 30 and Jordan Howard, who kind of did what most probably think was unthinkable. I have him in a league and benched him. I mean, playing the Vikings, that was the number 1 defense going into the week. But he ends up putting up 28 points. He had Demaryius Thomas with 10, Fitz with 12, Caleb Sturgis, kicker for the Eagles, with 13. Did have Drew Brees on the bench with 21, but played Brady, who got more there. Travis Benjamin had 12. Bilal Powell on the bench with 14 there. And then the last matchup we have here is Garrett versus David. As Garrett posted on the message board in the league, or it may have just been on Facebook, but he does have the most points scored for a team during any given week. His team put up 170, defeating David, who had 132. And David's score is not too bad either. Let me see here. If David would have played any other team in the league this past week, he would have won. But unfortunately, he played Garrett, who had the most points. David had second most. And so he ends up getting the loss there. It's quite a little unfortunate how things work out sometimes, but I've seen it go both ways. So if we look at Garrett's team here, obviously great effort out of his guys. 7 players in double digits. Derek Carr with a career day. I mean, it might be his best game he ever has, throwing up 36 points. DeMarco Murray with 19, Gio Bernard 13. Amari Cooper, obviously a huge benefit of Derek Carr's career day, put up 29. He had Travis Kelce with 20 points. Mohamed Sanu with a big day with Julio playing, but being hobbled majority of the game. He put up 19. Broncos defense put up 17. Nothing special on his bench. He did have Cam Newton on the bench with 13 points, but clearly played the correct quarterback this week. Looking at David's team, obviously he had a pretty good week as well. Just tough matchup for him. He had 6 guys in double digits. Carson Palmer with 23 points, Melvin Gordon 18, Theo Riddick 23, Edelman 12, Macklin 12. He did get 17 out of Chris Hogan. He has 9 out of the kicker Hauschka, and everybody on his bench was on bye week or quite a bit of injuries there, so nothing to really speak of on the bench there. As far as waivers go, let me pull that up real quick. We do have new rankings up on the league page. So take a look at those, see where your team ranks. Not a ton of change. Phillips still staying number 1 this week. So looking at the waivers here, looks like the top ad was J.J. Nelson. Nobody else bid on him, so Ray Sr. could have got him for absolutely nothing. Instead, spent $15 getting him, dropping Cameron Meredith. Like I said, me and Ray both trying to get Tim Hightower. Looks like Joseph tried to get him as well. We just... and Dalton tried to get him. But me, Dalton, and Ray all bid $8, but because Ray is the lower seed, he ended up getting the waiver claim there. Looks like a couple people bidding on the Chiefs defense. The other one was Justin Tucker. Looks like myself and Philip bid $1 for him, but Joseph decided to go balls to the wall and throw out $5 there. So he's going to get the ad there. It looks like it's everything I have for this week. We are heading into week 9, so I believe there's 5 more weeks left till we start the playoffs. So best of luck to everybody, and see you next week.